So welcome you all in the series of object-oriented programming, and in this series we are going to discuss the concept of object-oriented programming using C++ programming language. And today we are going to discuss the basic properties and basic concept, or we can say characteristics of object-oriented. So there are basically seven kinds of properties which we are going to discuss. The first property is a class. What do you mean by class? And then objects, then a data abstraction, and we can say encapsulation, then polymorphism, then inheritance, and then message passing, and last one is dynamic. These are seven properties, and all programming concepts are roaming around this particular seven properties. The first one is a class. So basically class is nothing but collection of similar kinds of objects. For example, this particular fruit bucket contains similar types of fruits, or this angry birds or bird class contain different kinds of similar birds, or we can say different angry birds having in this. So class is nothing but collection of similar objects. In the syntax, we are using a class keyword to declare the class, and then we are using the any name. Class members contain the two things. One is a data member, and one another one is a member function. Member function is a function, and data member is a variables. Object, we can say instance of a class. Instance of a class, it means with the help of object we can access the members of a class. So object is very important to interface or to interact with the class, and objects are also used to communicate in between the different kind of classes. Then we are say data abstraction and data encapsulation. So wrapping up data and functions into the single unit is known as a data encapsulation. For example, this candy wrapper contain inside the creams, chocolate, or we can say nuts or so many things, and it wrapped into the single unit. So it's simply known as a data encapsulation. In the programming concept, we are binding or we are combining or we are wrapping the members data members or member function into the single unit, that is encapsulation. The example of encapsulation is a class. So class is the example of data encapsulation. Data abstraction and another kind of properties providing the essential features without including the background details. That is known as a data abstraction. In this example, see behind the car body or car structure, there are so many mechanical parts, but for the user, we having essential parts to drive the car. That is known as a data abstraction. Similarly, in the programming, a class is example of data abstraction because we are having only object of the class, and with that object we can use members of a class. So abstraction is also example of class is also example of data abstraction. Then polymorphism. Polymorphism is a Greek term. Poly means many. Morphism is ability to take. For example, suppose somebody they speak now and now speak. So different kinds of peoples or different kinds of things are going to speak like dog, duck, cat. All are speaking, but things is same but in the different form. The dog says wow, duck says quick, cat says meow. So the things is same, but the form are different. That is known as a polymorphism. In simple example, suppose if we are going to use star as stick, and this star is also used for multiplication. This is also used for we can say pointer, and similarly there are so many things we can overload or we can use the polymorphism using uh, unary operator, binary operator, using member function, using friend function. So these are some example of polymorphism. Polymorphism is categorized into two categories. One is a static and one is a dynamic. In static, again we have category having the category like uh, function overloading. So function overloading and another is operator overloading. The function overloading having the same function name but different kinds of argument or different numbers of argument. Operator loading, we are having unary operator loading and binary operator loading. Unary operator overloading, then the operator overloading and binary operator overloading. And we can overload unary operator using member function and using friend function. Similarly, we can overload binary operator loading using member function and using friend function. There are some categories. And in dynamic polymorphism, that is, we can say virtual class or virtual function. Virtual function, not a virtual class, virtual function. So we will discuss all this concept in upcoming use. So these are kinds of polymorphism. It is also properties of object. Then the next one is inheritance. Inheritance. Suppose there is a class A and there is a class B. So the properties of one class is acquired by, we can say the properties of an object of one class is acquired by the object of another class. So that is simply known as a inheritance. Suppose A contains some properties. So these properties are accessed by using the object of A. But if the object of B acquire or collect the properties of A, that is simply known as an inheritance. It again categorized into some categories like single inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, hybrid. So if class 1 transfer its property to the class another class, that is known as a single. It is an example of single inheritance. Then it is simply known as a, we can say, hierarchical inheritance. Suppose one class inherited by more than one class, that is hierarchical. And then we can say multiple inheritance. Suppose two or more than two classes are inherited by the single class, then it is known as a multiple inheritance. Multi-level inheritance. Suppose there is a one class, it inherited by the another class, again it inherited by the another class, and so on. It is known as a multi-level inheritance. So it is a single, it is a hierarchical, it is a multiple, it is multi-level. In hybrid, we can combine any combination above that. For example, like there is a one class, another class, and so this portion contain the hierarchical inheritance, and this contain the multiple inheritance, and combination of this is known as a hybrid. So inheritance is nothing but acquiring the properties of one object by the object of another class is known as an inheritance. Again, inheritance are having some modes like public, private, protected. We will discuss it more in detail when we are going to uh, on that particular video. And then message passing is nothing but communicating between the classes, and we can communicate between the classes by using the object, that is the message passing. And at the end, dynamic binding, it means say at a runtime. Suppose in a class you are calling the name of particular students, and that students are maybe having multiple students having the same name. So which student will be called at particular situation and depending on at the runtime. Similarly, in the dynamic binding, suppose we are going to say draw a shape. Its shape will be a circle, maybe a diamond, it may be a triangle, a rectangle, whatever the shape will be. But the function is same, but depending on the argument, different kinds of shape are going to draw. So it is known as a dynamic binding. So these all are the properties of object-oriented programming. In upcoming videos, we will discuss all the properties with programming concept and so many things which we will going to cover. So thank you very much. Thank you.